Welcome everyone to my presentation. I'm going to take the next few minutes to introduce you to my personal OD&C change method, Play Like a Genius. First, some information about my professional background. I'm a former pre-kindergarten teacher. Currently, I'm a consultant coach and continuing education instructor for early childhood educators and administrators. I have degrees in early and middle childhood education, and I'm currently a graduate student in the EMOD program at Bowling Green State University, class of 2019. This presentation will address each of the 6 design elements for an OD&C change method outlined in the OD Practitioner article, Mastering Change. Those elements are purpose, system, journey, evidence, values, and model. The purpose of my method is to harness the power of play to generate feedback for an organization that is then used to craft their strategy. This method combines metaforming with an exercise that will stimulate 4 of the 5 senses, engaging more of the brain and thereby unleashing the full creative energy of their workforce. Participants will mix their own Play-Doh and use it to construct a 5-dimensional object that symbolizes the answer to an essential question. Next, we discuss the system my method works best in. A change initiative is not unlike painting a room. If you want a good result, you can't just pick a color and start painting. You have to remove the plate covers, tape over any wood trim, and lay a coat of primer if you want a professional, long-lasting result. My method will work for an organization of any type or size, so long as they recognize preparation like that as an investment, and they are committed to maintaining a culture of psychological safety. This is crucial for any feedback process. This method does have some logistical systems requirements. It should be noted that it works best in a neutral space where cleanup isn't a concern. The event phase is group-based, and it requires at least 9 people plus a facilitator on the low end. The event phase can scale up to 100 or more participants, and with video conferencing technology, remote multi-site participation is also possible. The event itself can last from 1 hour to an entire day, and the entire Play Like a Genius process can range from a week up to several months. My approach is based on the Think Like a Genius platform of metaforming developed by Dr. Todd Seiler. In both methods, participants build 5-dimensional models full of symbolism and meaning. In my method, a sensory stimulation element is added to enhance the creative process and activate as many parts of the brain as possible. These insights are harvested and used to guide an organization's leaders in developing a strategy for their own change initiative. The Play Like a Genius method is based on my years of experience working with young children and the adults who teach them. It has been partially implemented in half a dozen organizations to date, and 2 events which will fully test all components are scheduled to take place in 2019. This method is based on well-established research on metaforming, as well as research on the benefits of sensory stimulation in creative processes and general learning theories. For more information on the research that supports this method, I invite you to read my accompanying paper. The journey of the Play Like a Genius method unfolds over 9 phases or steps, with phases 3 through 7 being repeated as necessary. This flow chart lays out the entirety of the process, and we will now take a closer look at each step. In phase 1, the consultant and the client meet. The client describes what their goals for their upcoming initiative are. Are they looking to change an internal process, develop a new product or service, or something else? Preliminary details such as the number of participants, the timeline, the budget, and other odds and ends are also discussed. The consultant will listen to their thoughts, ask clarifying questions, and give the client a general overview of how they will use the process to help them get their desired results. Phase 2 begins when the client and the consultant agree to move forward and schedule an event. In the event design phase, the consultant will use tools such as an affinity diagram to develop questions or prompts that participants will use to develop their 5-dimensional models. In phase 3, the group that the client wishes to receive feedback from will assemble on event day, and the process is explained to them. A question or prompt is introduced, and the large group is divided into teams. In Phase 4, participants in their small groups will examine their prompt or question and think about how to represent their idea in homemade Play-Doh. They will be given a basic formula for how to mix it and with the supplies provided to them, with encouragement to add found objects or materials into their creations. In Phase 5, after planning their work, groups mix their Play-Doh and begin assembling their creation. They will in all likelihood not look like this. Phase 6 is the presentation phase. Facilitators utilize a show and tell model for presentations. Groups simply show off their creation and articulate its meaning. The floor is then opened for a participant or the facilitator to ask clarifying questions. Phase 7 is the data collection phase. It occurs in tandem with the 5th and 6th phases. Both the creation and presentation processes are to be extensively documented, ideally by a videographer. This is to ensure that valuable insight participants come up with throughout the process, commonly referred to as butterfly moments, are not lost. The event now reaches a juncture with 3 possible directions. In the first session, if the first session captured thought on everything the client was looking for, we proceed ahead to phases 8 and 9. If additional prompts were planned and they are still necessary, we return back to phase 3 and repeat the process. If feedback from the process inspires the client or facilitator to deviate from the plan to further explore something that came up in the discussion, it is at this point that determination would be made if all parties are in agreement. Phase 8 occurs a few days or weeks after the event. The consultant and members of the client leadership group will assemble with 2 objectives: to complete an after-action review of the event and to develop a strategy document. All of the data recorded at the event will be reviewed prior to this meeting, and all will bring their thoughts and observations. The consultant will guide this group through the process using this and other relevant information to develop a strategy document that will outline or clarify its mission, vision, principles, goals, and objectives. In Phase 9, the client organization approves their fully developed plan and are ready to continue their change journey. The consultant may continue to advise the organization throughout that process if that's what they desire. But with the finalization of the strategy document, the purpose of this method is fulfilled. There are 3 values that govern my method. Chief among them is that every creation is a work of art, and its value is measured in the meaning it holds, not in the technical skill or aesthetic beauty of the final product. People of all ages learn best and have their most creative ideas when they are having fun in a limited stress environment. Finally, the consultant will guide clients through this discovery process, but the direction in which they travel is entirely up to them. The beginning of this presentation contained a quote from one of Roald Dahl's most beloved stories, so it makes sense to me to end with one. These are also the final 2 lines of the last children's story he ever wrote. And above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching.